My name is Miley Norden. I'm the coordinator and one of the professors with the commercial beekeeping program. I'm going to go through the program and answer any questions that people might have. I'm always available throughout the year. We have an intake in January, so we have lots of questions as people go through the beekeeping season, when they might be able to join or if it's applicable to them, and I can be reached at any time. So the commercial beekeeping program at Niagara is a year-long grad cert program. It starts in January, and we have a core group that is with the program the full year for the full 3 terms. In terms of history, to give a bit of context, the program has been around at Niagara College for 5 years. It is the first of its kind in Eastern Canada, and actually a very unique program across North America, across the world. There's not many commercial beekeeping programs. They're usually more one-off classes. And so for us, it's a really great opportunity. It's a really great program to immerse yourself in beekeeping practices, understand the industry, and build the skills to become a commercial beekeeper. When the program first started, they started with 30 colonies on the campus, and that was kind of our classroom space, our lab space where we do all the practical components. Over the last 5 years, we've expanded to 5 other locations. So we have different bee yards where we work, and they have different focuses that kind of support the type of programming, the classes that we run at the college. Our first intake of students were in 2017 in January. And so we've had 5 years of students. They graduate and convocate in the spring the next year. We really maximize on being at the college and the campus and all the other learning opportunities that are connected to the beekeeping industry, like with the mead, beer, all value-added products, certainly the culinary. And I'll talk a little bit more about that being on the campus and the location where we're at. We also really find it important to connect with industry. So the Ontario industry and beekeeping industry have a great, lots of resources, have a really strong research background. And so we really prioritize being connected, and we're member of the OBA, the Ontario Beekeepers Association, member of CAPA. We are involved with ORBS, which is the breeding program in Ontario. CAPA is across Canada, and we also are a member of COLOS, which is an international organization. And so we find it very important to be connected to the industry and what's happening and have really up-to-date information for our students. So here is a shot of our original bee yard. We've since moved. And but to give an overview, we have a year-long program. There's 3 terms. We have a January intake for students. We are located on the Niagara-on-the-Lake Campus. So the Niagara College has 2 campuses. We are the one, Niagara-on-the-Lake. And really, again, we maximize on all of the other programs that are there. We have had partnerships and done different projects with the distillery, the winery, the beer program, and then we are part of the environmental and the horticultural program. And so we have different connections and different relationships with what's happening in the greenhouse. So it's a great location for living and our learning opportunity for students, and a beautiful campus. The program was designed for a whole mix of different students, and we have seen that over the course of 5 years. We have students who come with no beekeeping background at all, so ones who have never opened a hive, those who have not have any prior knowledge or experience, and then we have a mix of everything from students who have a couple hives and are looking to move from being hobbyist or small scale to commercial and making it their livelihood. We have some who have had colonies and run hundreds or thousands of colonies and are looking to add different skill sets to their operations. And so after graduating from the course, and we've certainly seen this with our graduates and our alumni, we have those who have gone into more technical roles. So we have students who have then gone into research and have gotten jobs in terms of as technicians. We have commercial beekeepers who have done a focus on honey production. We have beekeepers who have gone into the industry and have focused on bee breeding, so developing bees and breeding bees for selling to beekeepers. We have beekeepers who then have skills to enter large-scale operations and help manage large-scale operations. And so we have a whole mix of different types of students that come to the program and that have different objectives as they go through the program. Again, we try to maximize on being innovative and thinking, who the type of students are that come to our program and what we can offer as a unique experience. So we have different projects with research and innovation. We look at other opportunities and for beekeepers to develop skills that they might not commonly find just if they're entering the industry and starting on their own. We look at innovations in culinary and the culinary program and changes around regulations to inform and educate beekeepers. We think about environmental projects. So we've had pollinator monitoring that students have undertaken and looking at alternative pollinators. And then we also have the horticultural side. There's some courses that are based in the horticultural studies and inform and really give beekeepers in the program a different set of skills that beekeepers might not necessarily get if they just enter the beekeeping industry themselves. I'm going to go through the 3 terms, but this is just to give a bit of an overview. As I say, our start is in January. We run 3 terms and we follow the same format and schedule as the rest of Niagara College with the predominant schedule with 7 weeks, a break week, and 7 weeks. So our first term in January runs from January until April, and we have 5 courses. We have 2 weeks break, and then our second term runs from May to August. Same thing. 7 weeks, there's a break week at the end of June, and then 7 weeks. And there's usually then 2 weeks between the spring term and the fall term, and our last term going from September until December. And same thing, we have a 7 weeks break week and 7 weeks and 5 classes delivered in that term. And so I'm going to go through the courses and a bit of the focus in each term. And what I usually encourage students to think is that we really start with foundational and kind of more broader, and then we move towards a more personalized experience. So we really make sure that beekeepers have the understanding and skills at the beginning. And then as we go into the second and third term, we find niche opportunities. We find the right match of who they're paired with in terms of industry. We find if they're focused on product development and where they're at in terms of their learning and where they want to be once they graduate. So it really goes from a bit broad into more personalized experience. So our first term is really about building a foundation. So we start with honeybee health, ecology of pollinators, entomology of bees, commercial beekeeping regulations, and transitory hive management. And all of these courses really work together to develop a set of skills that beekeepers can use and employ when they're looking at hives, when they're building their business, when they're understanding what's going on in the environment and in their colonies, and a whole set of skills for them to analyze and be able to deal with different challenges that they might encounter as beekeepers. So honeybee health, we focus on building foundational health in colonies, what it means to have healthy bees. We talk about the different pests and disease we currently have in Ontario, and we also focus on the set of skills of how beekeepers can deal with potential new challenges or challenges in different pests and disease that might come up in the future. ecology of pollinators really looks at the broader picture of what's happening in the environment and other pollinators in the environment, and how to connect what's happening in the health of bees with what's happening in the environment. So it's a unique program for beekeepers that to develop skills that they might not necessarily get, or even considerations that they might not necessarily think of just if following kind of standard beekeeping skill development. Commercial beekeeping regulations, we focus on what are the rules if you are a commercial beekeeper in Ontario, and we look at that in many different contexts, the actual management and keeping of livestock of bees, but we also look at honey producers. So if you're going to focus on honey and honey production, if you're selling in Ontario or if you're selling across Canada, what are those different regulations? We also look at the movement of bees. So if you're selling bees, if you're producing queens, if you're doing that just in Ontario, or if you are doing it outside of Ontario. Entomology of bees really gives a foundational set of understanding and skills about the entomology and biology of bees, and that really helps beekeepers in further courses and understanding the application of everything from bee breeding to pest and disease and colony health. And last is transitory hive management, and that's a course that focuses on pollination services for primarily out east, so large scale or setting out an operation that moves to give pollination services, which are usually out of province. So we do both kind of big picture and small picture. And that really was the original intent of this program. There's a huge demand for pollination services for the blueberry industry out east, and it's growing, and there's opportunity for beekeepers that are looking to get into pollination services and looking to move bees for just that window of opportunity in the spring. That was kind of the seed of the program, and we've expanded to really include all different types of operations, and we have that advantage in Ontario where we see more of a mix. We have beekeepers who offer pollination services, bee breeders, and honey producers. And so again, these 5 courses work together to really give an understanding of colony health, what's happening in the industry, what are the skills you need as a beekeeper in many different contexts. In the second term, it's really our hands-on, get out into the field, look at all different contexts and get as much experience as possible. So we have apiary management that really gives a broad set of skills of how to manage colonies and how to manage an operation and how that connects to business. Apiary construction techniques, so students get hands-on experience about building equipment, how to fix different equipment, what different types of equipment they might use and considerations when sourcing equipment for their operation. And it's a great hands-on course. Integrated pest management is also almost a second part to the honeybee health class, where we're putting all of those concepts into practice. So we're talking about building a plan to address different health concerns and putting a plan in place for an operation so that they deal with and monitor potential pest and disease concerns. Queen rearing course gives students an opportunity to develop a whole set of skills as a breeder and understand how to set up a queen rearing operation and the skills that are required for it. So students get in and actually graft queens, produce queens, and then follow and monitor how to introduce them into colonies and the genetic side of actually queen rearing and breeding as well. And then in the commercial beekeeping project, we follow kind of a same core curriculum, but students are placed with different beekeeping industry partners. So that might be that students are with honey producers, or it might mean that they're with bee breeders, or they might be doing a project for an industry partner that supports the bee industry. But it's in the commercial beekeeping project where they get their own personalized experience, and they work with an operation. Our last term, when we run from September into December, is really moving towards graduation, solidifying understandings and preparing students to find their right match after they graduate. We have a class of communications of beekeeping, so making sure that we have sets of skills for in different contexts in the beekeeping industry. So actually, business skills and professional skills, and then also communicating with clients or different contexts and reading different resources. So it's a really good course to help beekeepers navigate the industry in different contexts. Apiary Management 2 is that extension, the next part of Apiary Management 1, where we're looking at fall considerations and different sets of skills to prepare for the fall and over the winter. Sustainable Commercial Beekeeping is a really great course that offers, again, another set of skills that is unique in that a lot of new beekeepers or beekeepers in the industry don't necessarily have, because it's new conversations that's happening in the industry of talking about sustainability and sustainable practices within beekeeping operations. And so we look at beekeeping operations, what are sustainable practices? How do you actually evaluate and do a study on your operation and see that your practices are sustainable, both in terms of beekeeping practices, but also operational practices. Principle of Bee Business is looking at developing bee business or business skills rather, and applied to the beekeeping industry. So students work on business plans, understanding how they would write up and plan how they might expand their operations or how they might enter new markets, how they might develop new products, and where they might get resources to be able to do so. So it's a program, or it's a class rather, that focuses on, incorporating a lot of the different skills that and different experiences that beekeepers have had over the last 8 months, and articulating, how they might enter those markets and opportunities. And then the Commercial Beekeeping Project 2 is a more personalized course. Students are set up with and connected with industry partners, and they do projects that are a bit more personalized than the Beekeeping Project 1. So we've had students who have done projects where they've looked at developing unique mead products. And so they've worked with the winery program and developed skills in understanding the process of making honey into wine. We've had students who have worked with the brewery program and making, again, kind of niche products. We've had students who have worked with beekeeping operation to develop skills for overwintering queens, which is a new thing in the industry, or a focus in the industry in Ontario, especially to allow beekeepers to store queens going into winter, and so they're available in the spring. We've had students who have worked with industry partners and created educational material for them. And so we've had a wide range of experiences and different projects that students have worked on in that course. And I do highlight that through the Project 1 and 2 in the spring and fall terms, it really is that opportunity that students do placements with beekeepers. They're personalized, they get unique experiences, and then they also share them with each other to then get a broader set of experiences and information. It's an opportunity to maximize on the college and the other opportunities that we have. So we've had students who have done product development and worked with culinary, understanding if you have a product or if you have a unique product you're trying to make for your business, what that process might be. We're looking to really connect students to industry in meaningful ways. So for a beekeeping entering the industry, to connect with someone in what could be a relatively short amount of time, is really advantageous because it could take them many years to actually build their own understanding and connect with those resources in the industry. So we're looking to speed that up and to connect students with good partners and people that can help them. We've had different students, as I say, that have gone out and they've worked in all different capacities. They've worked with the Ontario Tech Transfer, they've worked for Orbs, they've worked on, we have this picture with that is a mead project where they took different types of varietals of honey and just did the same process and looked at what the final product ended up being. You can see it's quite varied. It was really unique. Students who have done batches of mead, students who worked with the brewery program and talked about how to make niche products and move from just being a supplier to being a partner potentially with other industries and other businesses. And so it's really wide ranging in terms of the different types of projects that we've had through those courses. And it's really, really interesting and great. We have students and alumni who've gone off and graduated. They've started their own businesses. They've entered the industry, and we have students who are currently sitting on the Ontario Beekeepers Association board. We have students who have been hired as technicians. We have students who have started their own operations and different types of operations, smaller scale, one who have been breeders, students who have done contracted work. So we have a student from a couple of years ago who manages hives for a couple restaurants. So it really is really varied in terms of the students that come to the program and then what our graduates do after they leave the program. I am always available to answer questions. We're on Instagram as NCBs. We really do have a whole team that supports. We have a great faculty. We also are part of a great department. There's lots of different resources at the college that help students as they navigate through the program. And actually, maybe we'll take this opportunity to introduce Laura to say a couple words in terms of supporting our program and if students want to get in touch with her. Laura?
Yeah, thanks, Miley. So my name is Laura Fakla, and I am from the International Department. And we do have international students that have joined the commercial beekeeping program. And the international students are supported by our entire department, the international student advisors, our settlement and housing, our finance team, regional managers, and engagement. So please do reach out to our international department and we will be happy to support you in your journey.
Great. Yes. And so, as I say, there's, great resources in terms of potential students to connect, understand about the college as a whole, and then any questions, individualized questions or applicable questions for different contexts, because we do have, beekeepers, students that come from all across the world for our program. And so it sometimes is useful to talk through where you're at, what you're looking to get from the program, and what your needs are. And we're happy to answer those questions at any time. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Miley. We're going to play a video now that gives you a little bit more of a live look at the beekeeping program actually does look like. Obviously, we have some barriers in terms of seeing one another right now, but I definitely think this is something where everybody will benefit from seeing kind of the way we do our hive management and a little bit more of what the Niagara-on-the-Lake campus looks like.
My name's Dan Thurston. I'm the technician for the commercial beekeeping program here at Niagara College. We're in our learning bee yard or apiary here today. I haven't counted, but I think we've got around 40 learning hives on the campus here itself, and then probably another 40 or 50 hives in other yards throughout the region that help feed and ensure that our apiary and all the learning facilities for the students thrive, and there's lots to work with. This is the hands-on learning part of the program, the area for that. It's a year-long program, the beekeeping program, so during the winter months the students do a lot of theoretical-based learning in the classroom, and then once the beekeeping season starts in usually April, seasonally dependent, and goes until about November, they're doing a mix of in-class and then hands-on learning, evenly spaced, if not more heavily on the hands-on during the beekeeping season. And so they truly get to integrate into the hands-on side of the industry and really get to learn the skills that they need to either work in the beekeeping industry here domestically or travel with it, or to start their own business. And it's probably an even mix of people that are here to learn that skill or to maybe take it farther and run their own business as well. So here we've got our two tools of the trade, basic tools of the trade. We've got a smoker. What the smoker does is it's just a smoldering fire in a canister with an air source and a funnel. And what we do is just puff smoke over the hive, over the bees, to calm them, relax them, and keep them from bothering us while we check on them and make sure that they're doing all right. Other basic tool, but completely essential, is our hive tool, which is essentially a miniature pry bar, and we use this just to move through the frames in the hive to do our inspections and to actually keep the bees, to manage them. And then final piece of equipment is something protective. We either wear a hat and veil, we call this, or a full suit, depending on the work we're doing, to minimize the amount of stings. There's nothing fun about getting stung in the face. So that's all we really need. And then our basic hive equipment. So each one of these boxes here, each one of these stacks, is what we refer to as a hive. The larger box at the base of the hive is where the queen operates and where all the young are raised and the population grows from. And then every subsequent box on top of that is what we call a honey super. So they'll, when we get into the hives there, we'll see the bees working and collecting the abundance of nectar and turning into honey that we have in the environment here right now. All these hives are managed by the students. So they learn how to do every aspect of beekeeping management throughout the season by actually physically doing it on campus here in groups and along with the instructors, myself, Miley Norden, or any other visiting instructor. All the instructors come from the beekeeping industry. Most of them run beekeeping businesses of their own and then are invited based on their expertise to be part of the program here. So given the time of year, the students will start by unwrapping the colonies in the spring, starting to do spring management, taking ones that are live, ones that are dead, building them up and turning them into honey producing hives. They also learn construction techniques, so all of the equipment here is built by the students as part of the program. They learn how to raise queens. So every hive has a queen in it, and the students are responsible for raising those queens as well and expanding the number of hives the college has. And then all of the regular management techniques that go along with beekeeping. It's a fairly intensive line of farming that we're doing here, in that we don't just put a box in a space and the bees do their thing. There is a lot of management involved to make sure that they thrive, but they do thrive quite well with proper management and with the learning that comes along with the program. You would see the honey from the college apiaries for sale at the greenhouse, perhaps at the Welland campus. I don't actually know there. And it gets used in other places as well, right? Like the culinary program uses honey that's right off of the college site here. Same with in the brewery, the distillery. I don't know about the winery, but maybe there's a mead batch or two there. But that's kind of part of the point in having the beekeeping program here, is kind of have this holistic provision of local ingredients as much as you can. And honey and the students learning to manage the hives is just one aspect of contributing to that as a whole.
Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that gave you a little bit better of an in-depth look of the hands-on nature of our program and also the great facilities at Niagara-on-the-Lake Campus. As always, please keep in touch. You have Miley's contact here. If you ever want to get back in touch with the school, we do have an Ask Me Anything site on our website. So please feel free to reach out. Don't hesitate to ask any questions that you have. We do want to make sure that students feel that they're supported in an ongoing manner. Thank you so much for coming today, and hopefully see you again sometime soon.